So today I want to talk about priming ourselves for discomfort or prime discomfort. And what I mean by this is that when we choose or we decide that we're going to take on discomfort, and it's around physical discomfort, as I've spoken about previously, when we think about ice baths or cold water immersion or sort of high intensity training or whatever it is that we want to do, where we're deliberately going to use this as an exposure to some sort of threat to create a stress so that we can understand how we respond and we can regulate our response. The issue is when we're doing this, we prime ourselves for this discomfort, which means that we're prepared for it, we're ready for it. It's not really a surprise to us. So the fact that we've primed ourselves means that when we look at it from sort of a cognitive perspective, we have a top-down system and a bottom-up system. So our top-down system looks at our motivation. We prime that based on what we want to do, and it creates this sort of expectation and filters the information that we see or we perceive, or the signals that come through, or the way we perceive those signals, based around our outcomes. And then we have our bottom up, which gives us feedback from our external environment. So if we think that we want to do an ice bath, or we decide we're going to use cold water showers or cold immersion, and I use cold because it's something that a lot of people use, and it's a very easy way to sort of increase stress or create a stimulus that we need to respond to. And it's not that I've got anything against it, because yes, I do use it, but in specific circumstances. So when we do it, we've primed ourselves for the response. We've primed ourselves to expect a certain level of discomfort. We've primed ourselves for the response. So when we get in there, we're ready for it. We're prepared for it. We expect it to come in. We've already chosen the response or the reaction that we want to have to it, as opposed to when we have something that is imposed on us, or there's an external force that's imposed on us from the environment under normal stressful situations or under normal chaotic environments that we move in. We're not ready for that. We're not prepared to respond. We haven't primed ourselves to perceive certain signals or have certain expectations. So our response is completely different. So we go from this situation where we have a preconceived, deliberate response to a situation where we don't understand the problem, and now we have to solve a problem that we don't fully understand, so we're looking for the right information. So when we think in terms of priming ourselves for discomfort, yes, it can help us understand how we respond to stress. It can help us understand and interpret some of those signals that we get under sort of increased stress or threat response, but it's not always going to fully prepare us for the amount of external forces that we're going to get. And I've sort of spoken about domain-specific or near transfer and domain-specific situations, is that using a deliberate exposure isn't always going to give us far transfer, because we've prepared for it, we're expecting it, and it's not something that's kind of thrust upon us. So if you think in terms of sort of having cold water showers or cold water immersion, as opposed to being dropped out of a plane or crashing a plane into the middle of a frozen ocean, they're completely different scenarios. So you're going to respond completely different, because one is an anticipated, deliberately almost sterile environment that you've set up. The other is chaos, life-threatening situation. So you're going to get a little bit of transfer, but it's probably not going to be a huge amount. So again, if you want to improve your ability to handle stress or chaos, you need to kind of just get out there, get some really big challenges, or move forward with a really strong purpose, use that motivation, and then just solve the problems as they come up. Because if you're moving or you're heading in a direction based around your values and you've got strong purpose, or you've given yourself some pretty big challenges, then problems are going to turn up, chaos is going to happen, you're going to have to solve problems. So just in doing that itself, you're going to improve your mental strength and your resilience in domains that are actually moving you in a positive direction. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about that sort of near and far transfer and priming yourself for discomfort, and how that may often be more of a distraction than something that's given you a positive benefit.